hello. Welcome back to Scary Talk, episode 8. Oh my god, Shannon, can you believe that?
I literally cannot believe it. I am screaming internally.
I cannot believe it because of the excitement, but also like I cannot believe it in the bad way, in the way that like we are responsible enough that we have kept this going for 8 episodes. Can you believe that?
I actually thought that you were going to give up pretty soon, so I've been just kind of like, oh man, why is this still happening?
Why would you ever think that? I am devoted to this podcast. I'm excited that we're here. This is fun. I have some good stuff for you. I think you have some good stuff for me. And hello to the listeners. So if you are not caught up, Shannon and I are two crazy people. No. I mean, honestly, yes, actually.
It's true. It's very true.
It is very true. We have some good stuff for you guys today, like I said. So, first though, just a little chit chat. Shannon, how are you? How have you been since last episode?
I think I'm doing okay. I feel like I'm mentally stable. I've been running a lot, so I'm physically stable.
That's a new.
How are you doing?
I am keeping it together. Sanity is mostly intact. So
I'm glad to hear that.
I think good. I think the listeners don't care about our personal lives though, so maybe we'll keep the chit chat for like when we're off the record. I wish they did, but I don't think we have very sympathetic listeners. I picture our listeners. I picture our listener, like our stereotypical listener, as just this very like apathetic, crazy person in a basement drinking Mountain Dew. Now, I don't know if that's just me projecting like my...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have the opposite interpretation of our listeners, where I figure it's like a teenager in the attic where his room is because he's edgy, and like he's listening to this while bossing on World of Warcraft. And he just appreciates hearing our beautiful voices, and he wants to know that we're okay because he wants to be okay. That's who he is.
Honestly, I love that optimism and that mentality. If only I could have it. I just think I thrive on this kind of pessimism. I don't know why. Maybe it's just like a thing of late.
I feel like I'm also kind of approaching it pessimistically though, because I feel like the person you're describing is too good for us. I think they've done way more research than us. I think that they have one of those serial killer walls of all these cryptids and they just know more. So they're not going to listen to us.
With the pins and the thread.
Yeah, exactly. With the yarn. And he's just like, no, these guys are amateurs.
Well, we're about to prove you right, actually. But it's still some good shit. So let us start. I am going to be talking about the Jersey Devil today. Hello.
Ooh, okay.
Shannon did not know about this. So here we are. Hello. Okay, so the Jersey Devil. This thing. How do I start?
Are you okay?
I am fine. It's a lot. It's very intricate, and I did not expect it to be this intricate when I was researching it, to be honest. But it's interesting. Okay. So today we're talking about cryptids. Mine is the Jersey Devil. So in southern New Jersey, I'm actually not gonna start. I'm gonna start with the very background. Like what most people know about the Jersey Devil, the ones that do know about it, is that this is a thing and it like makes appearances and it's scary and it's spooky. But unbeknownst to me, there is an alleged background, like a kind of urban legend background history to this thing, which a lot of them don't have. Like if you looked up the Chupacabra, like there wouldn't be an origin story, but this thing is an origin story, which you can take it either way.
Like that.
Exactly. Either for you that makes it more believable or less believable. You can take it however you want. So the Jersey Devil, just to clarify, is a cryptid. This thing is like a creature with a goat head and has like bat wings and horns and has like dinosaur arms, like small arms, and it has clawed hands and cloven hooves and a forked tail. So
seems like every guy I went to college with.
So just picture that. Now, according to this article, how this thing came to be is that in the 1700s, according to Jersey folklore, because that's a thing, I'm sorry, it was actually the 13th century, so the 1200s. The 1700s is another part of this story. I got that mixed up. So in the 13th century, there was this woman known as Mother Leeds. Her real name was Jane Leeds, and she lived in Pine Barrens, which is an area of Jersey. It's like a relatively rural, well, at least definitely at the time, rural area of what is now New Jersey. And in the 1200s, this lady had 12 children, and then she found out that she was pregnant again. So,
oh no,
yeah, like even for the time, that's a lot of kids, right? So, in frustration, according to legend, she cried out that the child would be the devil. She cursed it because she was so angry.
And it's the 13th baby.
I know. And all I can think is, like, how is that the baby's fault? But whatever.
Yeah, girl, work on your pull-out method. Come on.
Anyway. 1745, Mother Leeds goes on labor on a stormy night. And the kid is born. It's born as a normal child, but immediately it turns into this creature with hooves and the goat's head and everything.
What?
It starts growling and screaming, and it kills the midwife before it flies off a fucking chimney and heads into the woods. So there's that.
Oh. Okay, this is just like the origin story. This isn't real, right?
I told you it was an origin story. I told you to take it however you want. For me, this is just... I mean, I can't buy this shit, obviously. But, like, the sightings to me, like, which I want to talk about later, the sightings to me seem very, like, you know, people really think they saw this thing. And that's what drew me to this. But, yeah, the background is really, like, urban legend shit. I think people just wanted to give, like, their sightings some context, so they just made some stuff up. But I don't think that this makes the sightings, like, not real. So, just to clarify my stance. But, yeah, I love this. This is basically, like step by step, your like classic creature horror movie, basically. I love that it killed the midwife and not the mom, by the way. Like, why?
Because mother,
I guess. Yeah, literally. I mean, in some versions of the tale, which, I mean, the article itself calls it a tale, but let's just say in some versions of this urban legend that was spread, that is very, you know, very much part of the folklore of New Jersey. In some versions of the tale, of the legend, Mother Leeds was actually a witch, which I think I thought I'd drop that in there. I think you'd like that detail.
I like that.
And apparently the child's father was actually the devil himself. So that's a different version of the story. Thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. They would always have sex with the devil for fun. Yeah. I mean, demon babies for sure. How else are you supposed to get the Antichrist?
Perfect. Okay. Then we're actually on track. Like, this sounds logical. It makes sense so far.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay, now here's where it gets intricate. So the article actually, which I actually liked, it goes into what it itself thinks is the actual backstory to why this phenomenon exists. And it basically goes on this tangent about how the Leeds Devil, like the origin story, is really irrelevant and it really is just an urban legend, and the actual reason why it exists is just kind of a social response to the political times. Basically, that's an overview. To specify, prior to the early 1900s, again, the Jersey Devil, which it's called both the Jersey Devil and the Leeds Devil, but at the time it was called the Leeds Devil, or the Devil of Leeds. And according to the article, it was actually in connection with a local family in Leeds, New Jersey, close to Barren Point, which is where the witch allegedly had the demon baby. So yeah, don't get this all confused. So basically, in New Jersey, there's Barren Point, which is like a relatively rural area, and then there's Leeds, which is like a town that's kind of adjacent to that, and it's all close. It's all kind of the same thing. Okay. Within Leeds, there was a family with the surname Leeds, not related at all to the town. They didn't like found the town or anything.
Okay.
And according to the article, like, the article thinks that Mother Leeds, it was actually a real, like, historical person that did exist called Deborah Leeds. And the reason the article, like, claims to be able to confirm this is because Deborah Leeds, the real person, had a husband called Japhet Leeds, and they had 12 children in the 1700s. Now, according to legend, like, the baby was given birth in the 1200s. So this is but also there's no record of the Jersey Devil or stories about it until the 17 and 1800s. So people think like, which makes more sense basically. Like, how come there is nothing about the devil, no sightings for 500 years?
Right.
So people think that really it really did just get started in the 1800s, 1700s, but the urban legend tried to make it more mystical by like elongating the time that it's existed, falsely. So pretty much, in the town of Leeds lived the Leeds family, and that is one. That's one version of the truth for why this phenomenon exists. Basically, that there was a family and they had 12 children, so like this must have been where the idea was drawn from, but the article actually doesn't go into detail about why this family would like spur such a history, besides the fact that they just had 12 children. Like, so what? So then there's another theory. The other theory is that Benjamin Franklin had a rival, and his name was Daniel Leeds. I'm also trying to like remember a lot of this because I have notes, but they're not like extensive. So I just want to make sure that I get it right. Sorry, but basically, Benjamin Franklin had this rival publisher, because you know how Benjamin Franklin was a writer and he wrote like Poor Richard's Almanac. Like, shout out to AP US History. It was a very popular book, but he had a rival publisher, and his name was Daniel Leeds. And Daniel Leeds was described often by people as the Leeds Devil, because he was basically a mean fucker. Now, much like the Mother Leeds myth, the one that I told you about earlier, Daniel Leeds' third wife had actually given birth to 9 children herself, which is also a lot of kids even for the time. There was basically like a lot of political tension at the time, and Daniel Leeds was in the middle of that for some reason. It's a lot of detail and a lot of speculation and a lot of kind of assumption as to how this person and the history of the time connects to the existence of the Jersey Devil, but really it's not super important to go into it, because if you like truly believe this, then like there really is no point in talking about the devil, because then this completely discredits its existence, and basically it just draws the Jersey Devil as it was just basically people like, I don't know, drawing on a metaphor to describe like the tension of their times. I don't know, some thing like that. I thought I'd bring it up because it is like seemingly, according to this article, like a substantial part of the story, and it need be brought up. But I do believe in the sightings, so this is really kind of inconsequential to me in the end. You know, like I have to draw over it, and I have to like kind of ignore it, I guess, but not ignore it so much that I don't like acknowledge it, because I think that's only fair. But basically, that's where people think like it actually came from. The devil never existed. It's just something that people like brewed up and like in their imaginations, and it was actually like a political statement. But like, I don't know, people generations over like maybe didn't get that, and they actually thought like in the early 1900s that there actually had been a Jersey Devil in the 1700s, because they couldn't read political satire correctly. Like, it's intricate.
I mean, I just want you to know that until I was like 18 years old, I thought that a mountain lion was a goat, because no one had explained to me that otherwise. Like, I remember being like, oh, a mountain lion's a goat. We just called a lion for some reason. So I believe people are dumb.
That's fair. Oh my god, have I ever told you, okay, tangent, have I ever told you the lemon and lime story that I have?
No.
Okay, so okay, so for the listeners who haven't figured it out yet by my fast speech and my accent, I am originally from Mexico, and when I was growing up, to me, like over there we have things called Mexican lemons, and a Mexican lemon is small and round and green like lime is. You know what a lime is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I in my head didn't know what a lime was until literally like last year. And this is why it's because growing up, this little green lemon, because that's what I call it, which apparently according to a friend who's American, is actually a lime. To me, the longest time this thing was lemon, and then when I moved to the States, I realized that it was a lime, and I realized that things that I thought were limes were actually lemons. To me, in my head, for the longest time, I thought limes are yellow, therefore, like the yellow balls are limes. Turns out those were lemons, and the green ones, which I thought were lemons, were limes. So,
oh man,
fucking dumb.
what a world to live in.
I know. Now, in my defense, like, there's technically 3 different fruits that are being talked about. The Mexican lemon, which Mexicans mistakenly call lemons, it's technically a lime, a small lime. Then there's your regular lime, like the big ones that you see in American stores. Like, to you, a lime is the same size as a lemon, roughly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, except they're green. That's the only difference. And then there's a third fruit that's being talked about, which is the lemon, which is the yellow thing.
You know, not to like detract too much from the Jersey Devil, but like, can we talk about how lime makes everything taste delicious? Like, what is that?
Honestly, yes. Sprite, hello, sponsor us. But anyway, yeah, that was my little thing. Like, but again, like, you know, like.
I appreciate it. That's fascinating.
In my defense, a lot of fucking fruits to learn and too little time. So, back to the Jersey Devil. Okay, encounters. So, according to legend, this is one of the bigger encounters. According to legend, while visiting the New Jersey area to inspect like a factory, a Commodore Stephen Decatur sighted a quote-unquote flying creature and fired a cannonball directly upon it to no effect.
My goodness.
Apparently this was a testimony that was given to the authorities, and the guy was obviously shook because he threw a cannonball at the thing and it did not die. So, I'd be too.
You like, that is such a reaction. Like, it's not like he like threw a rock. He threw a cannonball.
I know. The Jersey Devil, or the Devil of Leeds, would also be spotted near the Pine Barrens a lot, which makes sense. People allege that that's where it comes from. According to the local populace, this is an interesting testimony that I wanted to include in this. This is, so quote unquote, whenever he went near it, and this was a man who was talking about like one of his friends that approached the devil. So whenever the man went near it, the devil would give a most unearthly yell that frightened the dogs. It whipped at every dog on the place. That thing, said the guy, is not a bird nor an animal, but it is the Leeds devil. So there's that. He then says, I never saw the horrible critter myself, but I can remember well when it was roaming around in Evesham, which is an area within that area as well, within those woods 50 years ago, and when it was hunted by men and dogs and shot at by the best marksmen there were in all South Jersey, but could not be killed.
That's creepy.
Yeah, so whatever this thing is, it's apparently invincible. More encounters. This was an interesting one. So, Joseph Bonaparte, the elder brother of Napoleon Bonaparte, he claimed to have seen the Jersey Devil as well while hunting in his estate. Apparently, he had an estate in the area during 1840. So, in 1840, Napoleon's brother claims he saw the Jersey Devil. So, interesting that. Then in 1840, the devil was blamed for several livestock killings that shook the people of the area, and the year after that, people were complaining about weird tracks on the ground and screams they'd hear in the middle of the night. In the same area during 1925, so now we're in the 20th century, and there's still sightings. A local farmer shot an animal that tried to steal his chickens, and then photographed the animal with a 1925 camera, which honestly, like, wow, okay. A farmer had a camera. But, I was kind of surprised. But anyway, apparently he did. He photographed the thing that tried to kill his chickens. He didn't, like, I don't know if he just like left the corpse there, or if he actually was able to kill the Jersey Devil. I'm guessing not, obviously, but he was somehow able to take a picture of it without the thing flying away, and he showed it to his friends, and 100 people, according to him, could not identify what it was. And finally, another one that I'll talk about is in 1937, an unknown animal with quote-unquote red eyes was seen by the residents of Downingtown, Pennsylvania. So now it's outside of Jersey, and was compared to the Jersey Devil, and people said that it looked like a monster. So there's that. What do you make of this so far?
Well, honestly, what I'm thinking about is how this creature compares to a lot of other creatures I've heard about, and like cryptids, obviously, but I don't know if there's anyone listening to the last podcast on the left, but they just covered Skinwalker Ranch, and everything you're talking about, like, it sounds like a creature from there, not Skinwalker, but there was cattle mutilations on this ranch, right? And like this big dark like beast-like animal like tried to like kill the cows or whatever in front of the farmers and stuff, and like I just think that's really interesting. Like that could be similar, but this happened in Utah. And then also, like, what I'm covering later on, there's also glowing red eyes. So yeah.
Ooh, okay, we like. Okay, now the sightings of 1909. So this in itself is a whole different section because 1909
Ooh.
shit fucking went off. Okay, so what happens in 1909? Even the most skeptical researchers, according to the article, could not say that this didn't contain some elements of the bizarre, because it really was pretty unexplainable. So during the month of January of 1909, a lot of people in Pennsylvania and close to the New Jersey-Pennsylvania border, but mostly Pennsylvania, they claimed that they saw the Jersey Devil. One specific instance is a family that claimed that in a night in middle of January of 1909, they awoke around 2 a.m. in the morning and they heard a quote-unquote eerie, almost supernatural sound coming from the direction of the Delaware River. So the family man looks out the window and sees what looked to be a quote-unquote large crane that was flying diagonally and emitting a curious glow. According to him, the creature had a long neck that was thrust forward in flight. It had thin wings and weird long back legs and shorter ones in the front. According to the man, the creature let out a combination of a squawk and a whistle, which I just wonder what that sounds like, and then disappeared into the fucking darkness. So, puzzle me that.
I mean, maybe it was a big bird.
Maybe it was a big bird, but maybe it wasn't a big bird. And here's why. The sightings continued. And then on January 19th, 1909, Mr. and Mrs. Nelson Evans, another couple, another family, were awakened in the early morning by the sound of a large animal on the roof of their shed. They described it as, quote-unquote, about 3.5 feet high with a face like a collie and a head like a horse. It had a long neck, wings about 2 feet long, and its back legs were like those of a crane. So again, consistency. Those of a crane, and it had horse's hooves. It walked on its back legs and held up 2 short front legs with paws on them. Bitch, what kind of bird is that?
3.5 feet tall? That's like the size of a small child.
Yeah, I know.
For some reason I thought the Jersey Devil would be like the size of a person.
No, it's smaller, but still not small enough to be like even a big eagle.
Oh, okay. But I mean, what if it was just like a pterodactyl that got sucked through a time warp?
That's still pretty freaky though. Like, okay, I love this one. One afternoon that same week, the week of January 19th, 1909, a Mrs. J.H. White was taking clothes off her line when she noticed a strange creature huddled in the corner of her yard.
Oh,
so
I don't like that.
She screams and she faints, so she didn't actually see a lot. But then her husband runs out. He runs out the back door and he finds his wife on the ground, and the devil close by, quote unquote, spurting flames. He chases the monster with a clothesline prop, and then the monster leaps over the fence and they can't catch it. So
wow, it's like a dragon. It's like a dog-faced dragon.
Yeah, so I mean, the devil portion fits since it spits fire apparently. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. 1909 was full of sightings. I guess the last one I'll mention is that a short time after that, so around February of that same year, the creature struck again. This time it attacked a dog belonging to a local woman, and when she heard the cry of her dog, she ran outside and she drove the devil away with a broom, which I love that. So like, again, this is not something that like people like see from afar and it's just kind of creepy, and then it just like I don't know, like walks away, and like people have actually like physically interacted with this thing, apparently, like hit it with a broom.
Yeah.
So it's more like a.
I mean, I would hit it with a broom. I would hit it so many times.
Yeah, honestly, it's more of a to me it sounds like more of an invincible animal than it does like a mystical, like multi-dimensional creature. You know what I mean? It's much more earthly. Which I guess makes sense if it was actually given birth to by a fucking witch on Earth. So so again, I attacked it with a broom, and the devil fled, but not before tearing a chunk of flesh from the dog.
Oh no!
Which is so fucking sad. And then she called the police, but by the time the police came, there was nothing. What there was, though, was 100 people crowd around the house, because I guess news flies in 1909 Pennsylvania.
The town crier.
And everyone had like guns with them. It was like a whole thing. Some people claim they saw the thing like fly away. People in that mosh pit crowd, and they try to shoot it, but nothing happened. So there's that. It was a crazy fucking year for Pennsylvania.
So have there been no sightings in this century?
There were no sightings in this article. However, I did read other, shall I say, less reputable sources. Not that this is super reputable, but like this article is written fairly academically, and the other ones seem much more like, I don't know, like blog posts. So different of people who, and there's a plethora of these, of people who claim to have seen it, and these are recent posts. Obviously, they were posted onto the internet. Now, it could just be that this article is not updated, or it could be that this article did not include these sightings because there's not enough evidence to, I don't know, to like even prove that this person like even filed a police report, or like, I don't know, like this could just be someone like deciding, I'm just gonna post some shit on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, at least these other sightings, like the article speaks of them because there are police files that can confirm that at least the person really thinks they saw this, because they actually called the police and they actually gave a testimony. So it's different. So to answer your question, I suppose yes, but I didn't really go into those because they're much more hard to verify, if you want to call it that. But people, people claim all the time that they still see it, and these are recent posts. So in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and apparently it's traveled south too.
Okay. Well, what do we think? What do we assume on this one?
I want to think that it's all real, but I can't help but think that these townspeople were just bored.
Yeah.
Like the stories are much more fantastical and much more narrative style, almost like fiction, than things like, I don't know, like, have you ever heard a person like describe seeing like Bigfoot? Oh my god, Bigfoot. Honestly, I'm hungry. No, but Bigfoot. I don't know. The stories are oddly specific and kind of weird, and you can't make that shit up. But this is different. Like the stories, maybe it's just, I don't know, the narrative style of the article, but it feels like the stories that these townspeople gave, the testimonies, all feel kind of fiction-y to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, but it's the same thing as something else that I touched on with you before, about something that you were talking about. I think it must have been the oh no, actually I think it was my own case, the Amityville case, a couple of episodes ago. I said that about the Amityville case, you know, there were books about it. That maybe the second book that was published about it by the family, that maybe it was just a cash grab, but that didn't make me think that the story itself, like even like the most elemental aspects of it weren't true. And this is similar. I think that the Jersey Devil does exist. I'm gonna say that. I don't know that it exactly looks like this, or that it is necessarily invisible, or what exactly it does. Like, is it out to kill people, just livestock? What is its purpose? I also don't claim to believe the origin story, which is just fantastical. But I do think that it exists, or at least something very similar to it exists, and that's still paranormal. That's still not normal. So I'm still like, my spooky bone is still satisfied, you know?
Okay, so you're saying it's definitely a creature of non-earthly origin.
Oh yeah, but people must have blown it out of proportion, and their testimonies make me feel that way.
Yeah, I agree. They were a little bit extra, I guess, is the...
I also didn't reach all of them, so like, trust me that some of them were... and I don't say this often, but some of them sounded like they just wanted the attention. Don't ask me how I got that from just text. It's not like I heard these as recordings or anything, but you can read that. I don't know.
Well, also, it's like the 1800s. Like, if I'm, like, out there and I see, like, this, like, duck or, like, a goose. Let's say I see a goose and I faint because I think it's something else and my husband runs out. I'm gonna be embarrassed. So I'm gonna be like, no, it wasn't a goose. You're gonna lie. You're gonna say it was a dragon. It was a dragon with a dog head. And you're gonna make me look like I'm not just a little wuss. Like... I don't know.
I guess the last thing I'll mention is that this devil folklore remains very, very popular in the New Jersey area. I mean, how could it not? New Jerseyans, if that's what you call them, don't really have a lot to do besides watch like Jersey Shore. Honestly, dated joke, but whatever. And here is why it stays. It stays relevant because there is a group called the Devil Hunters, and this is like current, right? They refer to themselves as "quote unquote" official researchers of the Jersey Devil, and they devote their time to collecting reports and visiting historic sites and going on nocturnal hunts. Wink, wink, Shannon, in the Pine Barrens, so that area, in order to "quote unquote" find proof that the Jersey Devil does in fact exist. Honestly, I commend these guys.
I support them. They're going out there, they're doing the hard work no one else wants to do, you know?
Honestly, like, whatever you want to believe about the devil himself, the fact that these guys like devote like actual time to this, like, it just shows a kind of like real cause. I just love that. I love that.
Right. Like, why in the world are we devoting time to talking about this? What's wrong with us?
No, if anything, we should be proud of ourselves too. Like, we're contributing to the spooky cause, to the I don't know, to the outcast belief that shit like this can exist. So kudos to this podcast, I suppose. We are in our own ways the devil hunters, except we won't actually put like skin in the game, because fuck that. And now I'm not getting spooked and I'm not getting haunted. Thank you. Now, due in part to its isolated nature, the Pine Barrens, this area in New Jersey, have encouraged various folk legends. And the article speaks of a couple of them, and they're all actually related to the Jersey Devil, and I found these so amusing. So apart from the devil himself, there are other legends associated with the area, again, and these are supernatural creatures and ghosts that are said to haunt the pine forest of New Jersey. And these include, this one's my favorite, the ghost of the pirate Captain Kidd. And it's my favorite because initially I thought it was going to be a kid pirate. I was wrong, but that's how I read it. Who supposedly buried treasure in the area and is sometimes seen in the company of the devil, of the Jersey Devil. So apparently they're butts. Jersey Devil doesn't just roam the forest forever alone. He has a friend. I'm happy for him. There's also the ghost of the Black Doctor, who was an African-American doctor who died like centuries ago. And he apparently was like forbidden from practicing medicine due to his race, so he entered the Pine Barrens to practice medicine in like the woods. And then, like, I guess he's like a man witch. Anyway, he died and now he's a ghost and he still lives in the woods. So he joined the gang, and apparently he hangs out with the devil and the pirate as well. And then
what do you think they do? Do they like play mahjong?
I honestly just picture them like sitting around a fire, drinking and singing songs. Finally, there is where was, oh yeah, this one's good. Yeah. So the ghost of the black dog. No, a lot of black dog ghosts are like traditionally are like bad omens, but this specific black dog is usually portrayed as harmless, actually, and like as benevolent. Then there's the ghost of the golden-haired girl, which is just a blonde girl basically, who is said to be staring out into the sea, dressed in white, mourning the loss of her lover at sea. So again, the gang keeps growing. It's fucking like the Avengers. Then there's a white stag, which is a ghostly white deer set to rescue travelers in the Barrens from danger, according to the article. So
is this
it's
like
a
Harry
whole
Potter? What's
gang.
happening?
Yes, basically that's all the people. But then there's one more thing. There's another thing that adds to the folklore. It's not an entity, but it is a thing. There's also folktales concerning the blue hole. So the blue hole, the article doesn't really go much in depth about it, and I didn't really bother researching it more because I didn't think it was very consequential. But apparently it is an unusually clear blue and rounded body of water located in the Barrens. And it's somehow associated with the Jersey Devil. Maybe that's where he bathes.
So is it a lake?
Small though, like unusually small.
Is it a ghost lake?
Yeah, that's where they all bathe. They have their skinny dipping parties there. The ghost and the kid and the doctor and the devil and the fucking pirate.
And
Yeah,
the
and the
dog.
But yeah, apparently it's unusually round and unusually small and unusually deep. So almost like a what's that called? A well in the ground, like a well that the earth made, which is bizarre.
Interesting.
Honestly, I just wanted to mention all that because it's fun, but I don't know how actually like important it is to like the Jersey Devil himself. But anyway, that is my story. That's what I think of the devil. Yeah, what's up?
Well, I've been thinking about this for about 25 minutes now, so I'm just gonna lay it out there. So, when you heard the motto, "When life gives you lemons," did you picture limes?
Oh my god. Okay, so what you call a lime is the green thing that is the same size of a yellow lemon, right?
Green fruit.
Yes. So, I mean, but no. Like, here's the thing, Shannon. Like, remember, like, to me, before I moved to the States, right, which was like for 13 years of my life, a lemon was a Mexican lemon, which again is technically a lime, but we call it according to science, but we call it a lemon. We call it Mexican lemon, and it is the same color as your lime, but smaller and rounder. And to me, that was a lemon for the longest time. Then I moved to the States. They don't sell those here, but they do sell limes. And I thought, oh, well, this is just a big lemon. It's the same color. It tastes the same. So it's basically a big version of the Mexican lemon. And I'll eat it because it's familiar to me. And because I thought that by proxy, of course, I thought that the yellow thing must be a lime because something has to be the lime, right? There you go.
So I'm taking that as a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
To me, green was lemon because I was fucking dumb, and there you go.
All right, awesome. I feel good about this. This is good to know. I found that all really interesting. I have heard of the Jersey Devil before. I didn't know it was quite this outlandish though. For some reason, I thought maybe this one held more ground. I don't know. I thought maybe they were more modern. I don't know.
Girl, I thought so too. And then I researched it and I was like, honestly, I'm too deep in this hole, in this blue hole to get out of it. So I'm just going to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a similar level of disappointment when I finished researching mine, where I was like, I don't think this is real at all, which is kind of sad. Like, it's always sad when you reach that conclusion because you want it so badly to be arguable just for the sake of fun.
I mean, a little, but again, I don't think it's completely false. I must reiterate that. I think that this was born from a kernel of truth. People just like to blow things up, though.
I think they saw a big giant bird. I think that's what that was.
I think you're wrong. No,
I'm not saying it's not a supernatural bird. I'm just saying it was a big bird.
Oh well, in that case, yeah. As long as you give me the fact that it's supernatural, you can say whatever you want.
Genuinely, I am more inclined to believe in the Jersey Devil if the backstory was true, because I think that a witch birthing the Antichrist into a winged goat sounds freaking awesome. So if I'm gonna believe in something strange, I'm gonna believe all the way. I can't remove that from the mythos, I guess.
I mean, if you're gonna believe all of that, yeah. Then if you're gonna believe all the sightings, then if you're gonna believe all the sightings, then yeah, I would go with the crazier origin story rather than the normal one. I'd totally go with the witch fuck the devil. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah. I mean, are you gonna say no? Like, it's the devil. Like, he might try and kill you or something.
Also, what if he's devilishly handsome? Ooh. Like, honestly, isn't the devil like a shapeshifter or something?
Ooh, he like shapeshifts to you're perfect. Ooh.
I know. Can you imagine? Like, this witch saw like Liam Hemsworth in the 1200s and was like,
it's all about Chris Hemsworth. Get out of here with that.
Then the fucking like demon baby is born. She's like, honestly, worth it. But also, you're cursed, baby. Fuck you. It's your fault, baby. Like,
it's so sad.
I know.
All right, are you ready?
Okay, I am ready.
All right,
what you got?
So I am talking about the Mothman, as you are aware.
I am aware, but I'm still excited. I'm faking that excitement. You're welcome.
So I actually had never really heard of the Mothman before. I'd probably heard of it in passing, but I've never done any research or read about the Mothman. Kind of excited because it does seem kind of like a superhero name. He is not a superhero. He's not. And this one isn't really a big story. There isn't really an origin story for this guy. Yeah, so let's just dive on in.
Okay, so to clarify, you're not talking about the Ant-Man,
I'm not talking about Ant-Man, although he is a beautiful, beautiful man. Why does Paul Rudd not age? I want him. If he's listening, are you married? Are you single? I don't care. I'm waiting for you, Paul.
Chris Hemsworth who?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth who? No thanks.
Okay, go
I've
ahead.
seen Clueless. Alright, so on November 12th, 1966, 5 men digging a grave in a cemetery near Clendon, West Virginia, claimed to see a man-like figure fly low from the trees over their heads. So, I mean, it's creepy enough that you're like digging a grave in a cemetery, but you see something flying overhead that is apparently man-sized. That's a little weird. And in all these like eyewitness accounts, because this is what the Mothman is based upon, it's always described the same. It's always at night too, so you have that to fall back on. Well, it's not very clear, but it's a man-like figure. It's got the legs, but it's also got this big wingspan, and it's.
Well, Shannon, maybe it's a bird,
Maybe it's
right?
a big bird. That's what we keep them back to. No, also this is the first sighting, but in later sightings, it's always described as having red glowing eyes. So that's kind of creepy. So the next one was actually only 3 days later, and this is still the 1960s. So 2 couples from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, were hanging out in their car, doing whatever 2 couples do. I don't know. It's the 60s. So Roger and Linda Scorberry and Steve and Mary Malotte told police, this is testimony, that they saw a large gray creature whose eyes glowed red when flashed with their car headlights. So this was flying, like following their car, and it had a 10-feet wingspan. I don't know how long it was following their car, but I mean, they called the police, so they were obviously kind of scared. Later on, 2 firemen said that they saw it, and they said it looked like a large bird with red eyes. A man named Newell Partridge, he was a contractor. He aimed a flashlight at the creature, and its eyes glowed. He said it glowed like bicycle reflectors. He was actually kind of intense about this. He blamed buzzing noises from his TV on this creature. He blamed the disappearance of his German Shepherd on this creature. I'm not sure if he had any proof, but this creature was apparently ruining Newell's life. And then, so at the West Virginia University, there was a wildlife biologist named Dr. Robert L. Smith. He said that it sounded just like the sandhill crane, an American bird, and it has a 7-foot wingspan, it's as tall as a man, and it has red around its eyes. And so that, just the skeptic in me was like, okay, this is not a Mothman, this is a bird. It's a bird, guys. But, I mean, I'm not going to say those people were wrong, maybe they did see a cryptid, I don't know. And so, I guess it's just if you want to believe that, but I think the Mothman has survived so long as like this cryptid creature in history because people started to attribute it as kind of an omen, I guess. So in 1967, this is just a year after all the sightings, there was a collapse of a bridge called the Silver Bridge in West Virginia.
Yes, I've heard about this, yeah.
Yeah, 46 people died, more were injured, and people just kind of created this urban legend that the Mothman was responsible. I'm not sure how the Mothman would cause this bridge to collapse. That's kind of like the biggest wrench in it for me. I'm like, unless he has like supernatural powers, he like caused an earthquake or something, or...
Well, I've heard that the Mothman predicts disaster, so he's actually a benevolent being. He's just kind of misunderstood being.
Interesting.
But not that he caused the disasters. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So the other way it's kind of connected is a bunch of ufologists have seen or claim that the Mothman sightings foreshadow events such as bombings and stuff. And so every time someone claims to see the Mothman, something bad will happen. I guess what you're saying, it could be.
Yeah, basically. That's something that he shows up to, like, warn people, I guess.
I guess, but what good's the warning if people are still gonna die? You know what I mean?
I mean, but, like, we go back to, like, episode whatever about the what is it? The premonitions, and, like, what's the point of them? And remember we were talking about this?
The ESP.
So, like, maybe it's just, and what you said was basically, like, maybe there is no purpose. Maybe it's just, like, a glitch in the Matrix that these people are able to see their deaths, but that doesn't mean they can do anything about it. Well, maybe the Mothman is, like, a physical representation of a glitch.
What if he's death?
Ooh, shook.
What if he's death? Oh my gosh.
Death is a fucking bird, guys.
And also, what if the Mothman and the Jersey Devil are the same? Because the red eyes, that was something that you had brought up too.
I mean, does it also have a horse head and hooves and fucking bat wings?
Well, they didn't get up close. That's the difference, and that's what made this so difficult, is like it was not very good descriptions, and I was just like, really? And then, like, a lot of the Mothman stuff was popularized through, like, fiction books and, like, movies where it's like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Bigfoot has a lot more to share with the world. I think he's a lot more interesting. I don't think I buy the Mothman, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got, because there wasn't that much information, but I do think that it's interesting.
I mean, why? Like, I'm sure, because you're saying, like, the reason it was really popularized is because of the books and the movies, but I'm sure that those books and movies must have been based on a number of accounts. So, I don't know, like...
But if it was, why isn't there more specific information on what he looks like? There's cryptid websites where they, like, kind of, like, say, like, oh, it just looks like a man with a beak, maybe, you know? And, like, it's just like, well, where did you hear that, you know?
Yeah. Well, maybe because the thing is really good at hiding. Like, after all, apparently it has moth-like qualities. Maybe he covers its face with his wings. Who knows?
Maybe he's out there eating people's laundry because, like, fabric, and they eat it.
Maybe, honestly. No, but I feel like there was more to the story because I have heard, again, like I mentioned, that apparently he shows up in places before, like, disasters happen. So to me, like, okay, let's say it's a bird, okay? But if people see the same big ass bird before disasters happen in specific places, that's still eerie. That's still something. So, you know, forget the fact that you can't really, like, see much detail about the Mothman. It doesn't matter. Let's say it's a fucking bird. But isn't that still weird that this weird bird somehow knows that shit's gonna happen? So it shows up there and just flies for a couple of hours above, like, a bridge that's about to collapse or some shit. Like, that's bizarre. Who's telling that bird to do that? So there's still something not normal here.
I don't think that anyone saw him at the bridge, which is why I didn't really...
There is a picture, Shannon.
I know. There was a picture. Yeah, someone said that was actually not necessarily disproven, but they were like, "Oh, that's an owl carrying prey." So I didn't bring it up because it was pretty not incriminating to me. But
girl, you should have brought that up because I would have been like, "Whoever said that, fuck you." I've seen that picture. It's not a fucking owl. But I mean, I understand you wanted to make your argument seem more credible, but you already admitted yourself that you don't really believe in the Mothman, so, like, might as well bring it into the discussion. That
I just
photo,
don't buy it. I just, if it's gonna be dark and obviously, like, I don't know. It's like, it's that same concept of, like, you look at your shadow with a backpack on and it looks like a creature because of your backpack, but it's not, you know? Like,
I mean, I suppose. I mean, this is very possible, right? And it is with any creature, really. I mean, it's with the Jersey Devil, too. It's possible with this thing, too. It's possible that there was one account, let's say, like, one of the first ones, maybe. The two teenagers who were, like, chased by a car. Chased in their car by the thing. Let's say that was real, but it wasn't actually, like, a supernatural thing, but they were super spooked, and people then just, like, blew it out of proportion and started making up stories. That's totally possible. But I guess, like, especially with things like this that have a lot of accounts, which I'm guessing that, like, Mothman has a lot of accounts. To me, it comes down to, like, yes, people lie. People can lie about anything, but honestly, like, do you have the time, and why? And does it really give you anything, like attention or money? Like, what will be the point of all these people making up all these accounts? I don't know. I know that I'm erring on the side of like trusting in people too much, but like, I mean, seriously, like, answer me that. You know what I mean?
I just think that once there's already an urban legend in your mind and you live in the area where it exists, I think you're more prone to think that you see it. Especially if there is giant birds flying around, like, and it's late at night and you can't see that well. Like, maybe that's just the way it is. Like, you know, if you live in Arizona, you're more likely to, like, think you can see a UFO. It's just that sort of thing where I do actually believe in UFOs, but you know what I mean? It's like the culture of the area.
So you think it's a case of like a psychological groupthink flaw?
No, not that it's not real. I think that it's more likely to happen to you if you're willing to believe it. You know, like if you and I both walk into a haunted house, you're more likely to feel something because you're scared.
I mean, yeah, I guess I could say that. Yeah, that is true. That's right. Yeah, probably.
I don't know. There's just something about this one that I just was like, I don't know. At least with the Jersey Devil, it's the devil. You know, like that's fun. That's interesting. But the Mothman, like, why? Why are you a moth? It doesn't make any sense. I was thinking maybe like it could just be some dude parasailing, but this is the 60s. Did they do that back then? Like
falling cars, parasailing.
Or maybe that's a glitch in the Matrix. Some dude's parasailing, and suddenly he's in another dimension. He's like, shit, what the fuck, man? It was just daytime. Why is it nighttime?
I mean, I guess, but to me, the fact that it doesn't have like a set origin story makes it more interesting, not less, because you can speculate and go crazy about it, and that's so fun to me. Like, just you know, like drum up all these ideas of like where X or Y could have come from or why it exists. And you know, if you really want, you could definitely tie this to the devil. Like, what couldn't you tie to the devil if you wanted to?
I don't know. The Jersey Devil had friends. Like, that's so cool. Like, he was chilling in a forest. Like, that's some pretty fly stuff. Mothman just be
funny.
chewing holes through your blankets and not even attacking anyone. He just follows you around sometimes because you got shiny lights on your car. Like,
oh my god. Okay, I totally forgot this. I remember watching the movie, and I watched the Mothman prophecies, of course. And in the movie, they talk about something, and then I read about the movie after I watched the movie, and apparently, this thing that they talk about in the movie is actually something that was in people's accounts. So some people, if I remember correctly, believe that the Mothman is connected to the Grinning Man. So I don't know if you saw this when you were doing your research, but the Grinning Man is another supernatural entity, also in the same area, who grins at those who see him. Now, this could just be a man, but apparently he like grins too wide or something. I don't know. And people think that like apparently some people saw this man like in close proximity to like when they saw the Mothman, and so people think that it's connected, and people who like believe in the Grinning Man think it's an alien. So like by proxy, they think that if like the Grinning Man and the Mothman are friends, then the Mothman must also be some sort of alien. So there's that. One other thing that I did want to mention about the Mothman that I personally know about. Well, not personally because I've seen him, but because I knew about this topic before you brought it up, was that people claim to be like confused and experience like extreme fear and psychological distress that will last for months, and for some people it even led them to like become insane after seeing the Mothman. So not just like regular PTSD from experiencing something traumatic like an alleged supernatural event, but a more like persistent, I feel like I'm going crazy for no reason kind of thing.
Interesting.
So
I didn't see that.
There's that.
That actually that kind of falls in line with the prophecies. Because if you, I don't know, I guess in my mind, if you see something that's forewarning something bad and you go crazy because maybe you weren't supposed to see it, you know?
I mean,
I don't know, that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose. But I did want to bring that up because when I read that, I did think it sounded a little more intense than just your regular PTSD. Like I said, I know that what state was this in?
This was in West Virginia.
Okay, so the West Virginians have a statue of the Mothman. Did you know that?
Yeah,
they do. They have a statue somewhere in there. I know I've seen it before. So, you know, real or not, it's definitely become part of the folklore, and like at that point, it's almost like it is real. Like it's I don't know. It's just like if it's so into their culture that they're gonna put up a statue of it, who isn't gonna believe that in the area? Like who isn't gonna believe that it's real?
Right.
Like I don't know. And if they already believe it, like you said, then they might make themselves think that they're seeing things that they're not. So and really in the at the end of the day, like what is reality but what you think reality is, especially if everyone around you in your community only reinforces that version of reality. Humans are a weird fucking species.
Yeah, they are. And also we have drones now. Have you seen those like Halloween decorations where you like put a ghost on a drone and you fly it around?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I am
Oh
just
my
a
god.
prankster by nature, so if I could ever get away with starting an urban legend, I absolutely would. But I know not everyone's like
Shannon,
that.
let's fly a fucking drone ghost this
Can
Halloween.
we?
You will make it happen. I don't care how.
Oh
That
man,
sounds like
Halloween in
fun.
Southern California would be great.
But yeah, okay. So you don't believe in the Mothman, but you do kind of believe in the Jersey Devil. I kind of do too, and I do believe in the Mothman, but also like what's new.
Yeah, I think for me, the Mothman was just like people, it felt like reaching to me. Like they were just reaching to make it connect to something. Whereas the Jersey Devil, he just comes and he fucks shit up, which I kind of appreciate more. I feel like that's more tangible. If he fire a cannonball at something and it doesn't die, I find that more interesting.
Okay. Well, that's what we have. We did not do Bigfoot and like the Yeti because we thought those were like too cliche. But that didn't make like these any more believable. It seems like, but it was still like an interesting experiment. I guess cryptics are a lot harder. Go ahead.
Do you believe in the Bigfoot? The Bigfoot being?
I actually, I'm conflicted. Like, I would say no if I had to pick a side, but there's this one piece of quote unquote evidence that I just like can't shake. There's this
Is it the video?
No, but no, the video, a 911 call that I heard like years ago. It was this man like calling 911 and saying that there was this like big thing or animal or man outside in his yard like staring at him, and it was like at least 7.5 feet tall.
Oh god.
And it was this like country man, like a ranger, and like I don't know, he just didn't sound like the kind of person that would be looking for attention. He sounded like just your regular middle-aged like dude. Was like this big ass man is in my yard and he's like at least 7.5 feet tall and he's just staring at me. And then he you know, this sounds like a, I don't know, like a strong manly man, but then you can hear like a whimper in his voice, and that was like, I don't know, that was like a lot for me. I was like, oh my god, like what the, I like to be a fly on that wall, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is like audio only, and the operator is like, is this man Hispanic, black, like, and he's like, well, it's black, I guess, but like black fur, and I'm like, bitch. So to me, that, and you need to really hear it with your own ears to really just get that sense of eeriness, because boy, like you can't shake that. I don't know, it's just when you hear it like from that person's mouth, it's hard to be like they're lying, because they'd be one damn good actor. Because you can hear the fear, you know. So to me, that's why I'm conflicted. But like, because that's the only thing that I've seen that's convinced me at all, I still lean towards no.
I do believe in Bigfoot. It's my brother-in-law. He is really hairy and he's almost 7 feet tall. He is in Washington. No, but seriously, that video it's actually been checked by people, and the Bigfoot walking, it's like a famous video. You can, obviously, I think everyone has an image of it in their mind, but
I've seen it, but I always think it's a guy in
no,
a suit.
No, that's a perfectly reasonable assumption to make. However, it's the walking that proves that it isn't. His joints don't move right. It's I guess like I don't know what you'd call them. Athletic doctors have looked at it and they've like pathed it, and it's not how a man would walk, basically. So it's I mean, we could look into that sometime, but it's pretty weird.
Honestly, yeah. We might do a whole episode on just that one, because Bigfoot is just big. Like there's
He's
a lot of
Big Daddy.
stuff on it. and we could both cover it. He is Big Daddy. But I mean, but the thing about Bigfoot, though, I guess now we're really just jumping into the Bigfoot episode. But the last thing I'll say is that even if Bigfoot was like real, from what I've heard, it wouldn't necessarily be like paranormal as much as much as it would just be supernatural, which are two different things. In the sense that if it is real, people who think it's real actually just think that it's like an extinct type of like primate, which would be like super natural and like super impressive if that was the case, because it would be like the last living specimen. Also, how has it lived this long? Like, you're supposed to be extinct, but it wouldn't necessarily be like paranormal, like dimensional shit.
Right. We also probably shouldn't talk or cover him because it's not really scary. Like, I feel like he's probably a decent dude.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yes, maybe not. I was also gonna mention the Yeti because to me, it's basically like snow Bigfoot. Like, I don't really see much of a difference. I also don't believe in that one, but I think it's particularly interesting. I mean, there are a lot of nomad cultures across like history that I've talked about it, especially people who live like up north in the cold. Maybe it's just like a boogeyman they made up for the children, or maybe it is real.
You know what's funny to me is that you're just like, oh, I don't believe in this large primate living in the woods, but I'll believe in this fire-spitting, goat-headed dragon.
Oh my god.
I believe it.
Honestly, it could just be the crazy shit effect. Like, it could just be to me that it's such a thing that like it's you can't make up, that, which I guess technically you can, but like it's just unbelievable to me that I'm almost drawn to be like, that has to be something. Fuck.
That's so funny. It's like opposite like understandings. 'Cause mine is always, if it's usually the simplest answer, but you're just like, no, it's complicated.
Yeah, I mean, don't you know I'm a crazy person and like I'm not rational? Because obviously a rational person would be like, well, the more complex, the more unlikely. But I'm like, no, if it has 3 heads and it has bad wings and fucking like horse mouth, it's real. You know, it was birthed by a witch who fucked the devil. It happened.
Andre, you have to be the Jersey Devil for Halloween.
Oh my god, that's a costume. That's one costume to make.
This has to happen.
That's intricate. I have to put like my handcraft like passion into the work.
Just buy a horse mask, spray paint it, give some red eyes.
Honestly, I'll try it like hell. I don't have any better ideas for Halloween, so honestly, you'll be that. I'll be that. You'll be the fucking Mothman. Good luck.
I can make a great suit. I'm sure of it. Catch me on my roof, hanging upside down.
That's funny.
All right, that was a fun episode.
This was fun. Yeah, this was fun. Guys, to our listeners, if you have any suggestions for next episode's topic, because we have not picked it in advance, do let us know. We are on Twitter. You can find us at Talk Scary. You can also listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it's TuneIn or Stitcher or Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. We are on SoundCloud. You can find us everywhere as Scary Talk Podcast. Scary Talk Podcast on podcast platforms, and Talk Scary on Twitter. Again.
Tell your friends, make it a drinking game. Every time one of us argues, take a shot.
Yeah, so every time I say take a shot and you'll die.
Oh my god. I try to edit out the ums, but sometimes it can't be done, Andre.
Andre is self-aware, and honestly, like, deal with it, everyone. Like, I'm at least giving you like the hot stories alongside Shannon. You can handle it.
I can handle it. Andre is putting his heart and passion into this. He's a true believer. I'm just here to I don't know, make sure he doesn't flood handle, so we can tolerate it.
The Jersey Devil is real. I'm a true believer. Shannon really is just my therapist. She's just here to make sure that I don't like go full cuckoo.
I want to make sure you don't fuck the devil.
Exactly, pretty much, because I'm being drawn to that like more every day from everything that I read. I think she's just making sure that whenever I want to like bring up something unsubstantiated, she just makes sure that I actually have at least like a fucking like vague idea or reason why I believe it at all, because I actually am insane.
Oh no, you know what I just realized? I have some good proof to how gullible you are.
Oh, One, fuck you. Two, I want to hear.
I convinced you for 2 years that 2 of our friends had dated, and they never did.
That is true. That did happen.
You just bought it.
And I should have known. I also should have known from like looking at one of the friends, or really looking at both of them, that they never dated, and I did not.
You were like so into the tension too. You're like, oh no, like this is so awkward. They're like standing right next to each other.
Yeah. I know, because they stand next to each other, they talk, they hang out, and I'm like, how can they do that if they're exes? They fucking weren't exes.
You live for the conspiracy and the drama.
I do. Maybe that's just the problem here. Like, really, maybe I just don't believe in any of this, but I just tell myself I do because I need to satisfy some kind of itch.
All right. Well, maybe we'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
I think we've had a good episode here. Thank you all for listening, for putting up with us.
That is right. Remember to not let your feet dangle off the bed. Very, very dangerous.
Yes.
And again, same advice as last episode. Don't eat large meals before bed because you are going to have nightmares of fucking the devil or something.
Also, if it has wings, avoid it. Especially birds.
Honestly. Although, I want to go for some wings now that you mentioned it. So I'm going to go do that. Shannon, you are free to join me. I'll see you in 8 hours. And come
on, 12 hours.
And as for the listeners, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.